This NBA season has given us so many things so far to remember that we are going to remember probably for the rest of our lives. We have obviously the biggest story in the NBA as LeBron James is on the Los Angeles Lakers, and we just had yesterday Derrick Rose ball at one of the greatest moments that we have ever seen in sports history. I mean, this guy dropped 50 points, and I'm not going to go into too much depth, and he will not be on this list, by the way, because I have made a video about Derrick Rose, and I believe it's one of the saddest stories so far that I have ever come across, and to see him do what he did yesterday night, it just really almost had me at tears. I ain't gonna lie. The onions, I don't know who was chopping them, but it was too much for me. It was too much for me. But today we are going to discuss 5 NBA players who have been big surprises this NBA season. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the first player. Now, the first person we are going to talk about is Caris LeVert. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section on how you pronounce him, Brooklyn Nets fans, but Caris LeVert has definitely shown some nice flashes this NBA season. I think a lot of people thought he had the potential to be a decent starter, especially last season, as he put up really respectable numbers. I don't think the numbers he posted up last year were bad by any means, especially for a second-year player who wasn't really expected to be that much. He averaged 12 points, 4 assists, just under 4 rebounds, shooting 43% from the field, just under 35% from 3, and also 71% from the free throw line. But this season, all those numbers have jumped, not dramatically in all aspects, but they've jumped significantly, as now he's averaging just under 19 points, 5 assists, just under 5 rebounds, while shooting 47% from the field. Isn't shooting that great from 3, I will admit. He is shooting below 30%, but he's also shooting 10% better from the free throw line at around 82% from the free throw line. So I definitely think that Caris LeVert has shown some flashes, and the thing is, he's had one bad game that's really hurt his averages. I mean, when you look at the first 6 games of the NBA season, he was shooting around 39% from 3, and he had one bad game where he shot 0 of 6 from 3, which I know is really bad, but that really threw his averages off. So I definitely think that when it comes to Caris LeVert this NBA season, he has gotten better from 3 as well. It's just the numbers are kind of off because it is the beginning of the season. Some numbers can heavily inflate and heavily deflate your numbers, so it is what it is. But he has definitely balled, and he has been one of the brighter spots of the Brooklyn Nets. Also, shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie with that overtime game winner. Shout out to this team. This team is really not that bad when you look at it. I mean, they have a first round pick next season, and man, they have some pieces on this team that I think are relatively underrated. So Caris LeVert, shout out to him. He has definitely been a surprise this upcoming NBA season. Now, the next player we are going to talk about has to be the one and only JaVale McGee.
A crazy alley-oop on an invisible mini-hoop out of bounds.
I thought you said JaVale McGee wasn't going to be on anymore.
You did. I said,
His birthday.
Yes, I know JaVale, the guy who has basically been on every single Shaqtin' a Fool episode since its discovery. And I understand JaVale McGee makes a lot of mistakes and he can be kind of used as a target for a lot of jokes. But JaVale McGee this season has definitely shown that he can ball at a solid, respectable starting level. He's averaging 15.5 points, just under 8 rebounds, while shooting around 63% from the field. And get this, he is leading the league in blocks as we speak with 3 blocks a game. Now, I will say defensively, even though he is leading the league in blocks and he's averaging a steal, JaVale McGee isn't really doing the greatest on the defensive side of the ball because his IQ is really what's always hurt him throughout his career, as sometimes he doesn't really switch well, or sometimes he fouls when he doesn't need to. You know, I can understand that aspect, but the numbers that he is putting up, you cannot tell me you thought he was going to put up these kind of numbers coming into the season. And even if you did, these are still some really solid, respectable quality numbers. And I think a lot of people have overlooked it because, one, he's playing with LeBron. You know, people say, oh, he makes his teammates better, or the Warriors made him better. And I'm not saying any of that isn't true, but at the end of the day, he's putting up solid, respectable numbers. And I think that people should give him just a little bit more credit for that. Tim Hardaway Jr. throughout his whole career has shown flashes that if you give him an opportunity, he can be a really solid, respectable player for you. And I think he showed that from the moment he stepped into the NBA, and last season we all saw numerous flashes throughout the season that he could ball at a solid, respectable level. But the inconsistencies are just something that you can't really overlook, and on the defensive side of the ball, he isn't the greatest player in the world, but this season so far, he has shown tremendous flashes of some good potential throughout the rest of his career, as he's averaged 26 points, just over 3 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal, while shooting 43% from the field, 41% from 3, and basically 91% from the free throw line. And I think that the Knicks this season are really looking at all their young players and just saying, look, go out there and just show us what you are able to do. And with Kevin Knox, you also have Tim Hardaway Jr., Kristaps Porzingis, and who knows who will join them in free agency. That could be a deadly team if all these pieces work out together. Now, I know that's a lot of what ifs. Kevin Knox has to pan out. Tim Hardaway Jr. has to be more consistent because last year he really could not do that. And a lot of other things have to happen, like Kristaps Porzingis, he has to come back fully healthy. And let's be real, we don't know who's going to New York next year, if anyone's going. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Tim Hardaway Jr., if he can be more consistent and keep up this role, I'm not saying he's going to keep shooting 41% from 3 or keep averaging 24 to 25 points. If he can average around 20 or 18 points and shoot at respectable shooting splits, I definitely think that will contribute to the New York Knicks building a solid, respectable team going forward in the future. Nikola Mirotic, my boy. Man, when I tell you I love Nikola Mirotic, it's not even funny, man. Shout out to this man, Nikola Mirotic. I loved him when he was in Chicago, and I love him even more right now in New Orleans, even though he ain't playing for a team anymore. It's fine. I ain't tripping. But Nikola Mirotic right now has been balling at a really solid, actually at an elite level offensively, because when you look at these numbers so far this season, he's averaged 23 points, 10 rebounds, shooting 53% from the field and 39% from 3. And some of these performances have just been ridiculous. I mean, in game 1 versus the Rockets, he had 30 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, while shooting 55% from the field, and while attempting 8 3-pointers, shot 75% from 3. Yes, 75% from 3. And against Golden State, even though they did lose, he had 26 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, while shooting 66% from the field and 80% from the free throw line. So shout out to this man, Nikola Mirotic. And Anthony Davis, I don't know what he's going to do when the season is over or when his contract is up, but I definitely think so far, Jrue Holiday, even though he's been relatively shaky at times, I think he will eventually catch on. And shout out to Julius Randle this season, playing phenomenal, shooting around 53% from the field, averaging around 17 to 18 points, grabbing 7 rebounds. This team, they got some pieces, all right? And Alfred Payton, I'm not saying he's Rondo and he can replace that void that Rondo filled in the playoffs, especially last season and even in the regular season at times, but Alfred Payton's a solid quality backup point guard, and I definitely think that they have some pieces there that Anthony Davis, if he stayed there in New Orleans, I would not completely hate on that move, even though there are other options for him that are better, I will admit. But the pieces on New Orleans, especially Nikola Mirotic, they are stepping up and playing basketball better than they have ever played in their careers, because I got to give a shout out to this team. This team is definitely balling, and Nikola Mirotic, he's a part of that, man. He is a part of that for sure. Now, the biggest surprise to me, really just because of the fact that I really did not see this coming, I got to give it to Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine has balled at a phenomenal level offensively. Now, defensively, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that at all because it's been horrible. But he is putting up some really solid and great offensive numbers. He's averaging 28 points, just under 4 assists, 5 rebounds, while shooting splits are through the roof. 51% from the field, 38% from 3, and 83% from the free throw line. Now, I will admit, even though I am a Bulls fan, I was very skeptical on giving Zach LaVine that big ass contract this offseason. But if he can give me around 22 to 23 points, maybe even 25 if he can maintain that, 5 rebounds, 4 to 5 assists, cut down the turnovers, shooting splits that are respectable around 45 to 48%, hell, I'll even take 44% from the field, and shooting shooting splits from 3 that's around 36 to 38%. And from the free throw line, he's always been a good free throw shooter, so I have nothing to worry about there. I definitely think Zach LaVine can be one of the best 2 guards in the league. And if he gets better on the defensive side of the ball, man, that is a superstar. Yes, that is a superstar, because defensively, my God, he is not good at all. I will say defensively, he's not a good defender, but he does have athleticism, and that athleticism, by the way, is still there, and he is capable of jumping out of the gym anytime that he needs to. And his physical gifts, like his athleticism, should be used also on the defensive side of the ball. Sometimes he doesn't even try, and I would like to see some effort on that side of the ball, but I definitely think that Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen coming back, Wendell Carter looking okay, this could be a solid team. And when a Sheik contract is done and off of our books, and when Jabari is out, because I don't think Jabari is really going to help us that much, I definitely think that us as a team, bruh, we gonna be nice, bro. We gonna be nice. But shout out to Zach LaVine. Shout out to the organization and everybody that has been helping us. I know our record doesn't really reflect how happy I am, but I definitely do think that the Bulls, they got a solid future ahead of them, because we've been dealing with some things. And when some players come back, and when some players keep improving and getting better throughout the season, like I expect them to, and I expect them, because by the way, guys, these are all expectations I'm placing for these players. I'm not saying that they're for sure gonna do it. I'm just saying these expectations that I have, and if they meet the fair expectations that I am giving them, we're gonna be a straight team. So you guys, make sure you comment down below if you agreed or disagreed with anything that I said. If you think I left some players out, drop them down below. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the bell next to my name to be notified after each and every video that I post. Drop a like down below. Also, you guys, follow me on Twitter. You gotta follow me on Twitter. All those links for social media will be down below. Y'all have a great day. I'm out. Peace.